we're pretty soon going to be the old men with the cane telling war stories to the youngsters who joined the space.
Already there.
Yeah,
So-
we had to pay gas both ways.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. 15 wallets I had.
I say it's a moment where it felt like a lightning bolt came down and hit me on the tip of my penis. And that's lived in infamy since. But the line I said is, I'm just one of the faceless many that's trying to fight against, the corruption of the big banks.
Welcome to Rising Up by Faceless Labs. My name is Evan Mann, and it is my honor to be your host for the very first episode of the official podcast of the Financial Revolution. We're going to take you behind the scenes of our company's story and give you an inside look at the wild and wonderful world of cryptocurrency. A lot of people think it's a world of get-rich-quick schemes, scams, computer nerds, and, of course, Lambos. But from our place on the inside, this is about so much more than money. And this isn't just a show for techies and investors. We're going to introduce you to our team, our community members, our friends building in the space, and the movers and shakers of Web3. I'm talking engaging conversations with actual humans to make you feel like you're right here with us building the future. This show is named after the mission of Faceless Labs and the rally cry of our community, the Faceless Many. Everything we do is about helping regular people leverage the power of blockchain technology to rise up and rewrite their financial future. We're building a movement, and you're invited on the official podcast of the Financial Revolution. And today, I am very excited to introduce you to my good friends and colleagues, Mack and Michael Shoup. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. You are so good at this. I'm getting pumped, man, and I've known you for a long time now.
I'm just envisioning the music we're going to stick behind that intro,
Oh my gosh, can we get some of that epic music from the trailer?
Sure.
And we were talking about that we are the Faceless Many.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put Chariots of Fire behind you. That's really what I need. That's the inspiration.
Well, let me introduce you guys real quick. For folks who don't know who you are, I'll tell them. These are my good friends, my colleagues, Mr. Michael Shoup, aka the Maestro, as we like to call him in the Faceless Many. He's an architect of all things digital. He spent the last 15 years building campaigns for artists on Sony, Warner Brothers, Universal Music. He helps startups like our company 10x their revenue, and he came to crypto to work on the ground floor of the future of tech. He's been a member of Faceless Labs since it was Faceless Crypto back in the aughts of 2021, and is just doing great work for us and for so many communities. Is a great story of rising up. And of course, my friend Mack is the founder of Faceless Crypto, which is an online community focused on teaching retail investors, regular people like us, how to leverage the crypto market to build wealth. He started investing in crypto back in 2017. He weathered that bear market, and in 2021, he started an educational TikTok page that now reaches over 150,000 people. He continues to lead Faceless Crypto and the Faceless Many through our recent rebranding to Faceless Labs with a vision that looks to the next 10 years and beyond. Mr. Mack, I'm glad to be here with you, my brother. We became friends on TikTok. And for the folks who don't know, I would highly encourage you to check out Mack's content at Mack on TikTok. It's not like dancing belly girl videos. And his first video is it's like one take. You got this notepad, and you were just very earnestly and even sort of, I would say, like reservedly offering to share just what you knew about cryptocurrency, just like, hey, I'm your friend Mack.
It was Mack the Professor. That's what I call that one. Yeah.
Everything but the nerd glasses. And you've come a really long way. I think it's incredible how you stuck with it, how you've evolved. I mean, you got some legit cinematography, and you've really developed this unique style, this authentic relationship with hundreds of thousands of people. But before you did any of that, before you were this cryptocurrency founder, this educator, advisor, you earned a master's degree in Chinese, in Mandarin. Is that right?
Yeah, my whole life goal is just to do the most random things and then just compile that so that I just dominate at cocktail parties. So I've done I've done scuba diving, I've done tech sales, I've done teaching Chinese, playing and selling pianos, a number of different things. But I think part of the way that translates into crypto is because Chinese, like crypto, is very complex. And when you've been in the position of teaching something like that, you kind of become accustomed to not only learning complex things, but breaking it down in a way that's easy to understand. So hopefully that was my my edge in the TikTok space.
Before we sat down, you got another cup of tea, and I remember we had a fascinating conversation. You started a business about tea based on the experiences you had in China. It's a very different, it's an art form with millennia. That was your dissertation, wasn't it? Was tea?
Yeah. It was the localization of Chinese teas in America. In short, China has a very robust and bustling tea industry because there's 10,000 plus tea companies over there. It's everywhere. And so it's the loose leaf teas. And so I found a way to kind of combine my passion for nutrition and Chinese language and culture, and how to kind of package that up in a way that it would be good, or it would be possible to replicate that in America. So it was an analysis on, marketing, culture, all the processes that go in between. So that's what I'm sipping on here today. Some jasmine silver needle.
Okay, big brain. Okay, I see you, Mr. Culture over there.
I just don't want people to think that we're not refined here at Web3. Just because you see apes everywhere.
No, that's true. And Michael, you've got a really varied background. You're kind of a Renaissance man yourself. You have an artistic history. You've got this history in business and marketing. Tell us a little about that. Who is Michael Shoup behind the Faceless Many? You came to Web3 in kind of a really interesting, circuitous way.
Sure. Yeah, man, I don't even know where I start there, but I'm a musician by trade. And I say that mostly because out of the length of time I've been like practicing things and earning income, it's right now probably equally divided between doing like digital marketing and media and doing music. I was doing music since I was like 15. First in like bars and clubs and then playing with other people, and then I went to school for it and kind of kept doing that for a long time until I decided that I was going to get married and have kids, and didn't want to be on the road 150 200 days a year. And it just so happened I picked up doing a bunch of digital stuff and marketing along the way, and so now it's been a like 10 or 15 year career of doing that along with being a dad. So it's been a fun road. I like Mack, I think, just really lean into learning. I love figuring out new things. And as I started seeing all y'all do stuff on TikTok, my brain went off of like, this crypto thing, it actually might mean something here. I should learn about this. And the deeper I dove, the more I went like, oh shit, this is really going to take somewhere.
What was the first cryptocurrency that you bought?
I mean, simple ones. I bought Bitcoin and Ethereum like way back, and didn't do anything to them. Like, didn't even realize what I was doing. And then I think I bought them probably in 2017. I don't know, a long time ago. Didn't look at it at all until probably 2021, 2020 or 2021, and realized that like, oh, this is more.
I should have bought more.
This is more than I thought I had. Why is that? And then started paying attention. But yeah, I think I bought some Bitcoin and I bought some Ethereum. And then when I actually got back into doing it, I think I probably went straight to Mack. I was real big into just figuring out different stuff with DeFi, and Mack was really popping off at that point.
So that's something we'll explore in a couple later episodes because Michael is the maestro of many things, but one of them is DeFi and yield farming. And we'll get into that, I know. Mack, your first purchase, wasn't it Litecoin you told me?
Yeah, it was Litecoin because I'd heard about crypto in college, but my friend told me, he's like, look, man, there's really only one place to buy crypto in the United States, and it's Coinbase, and they have two coins up there, and they're adding a third one called Litecoin. So I was like, oh, well, this is a much lower market cap. This is one of three options. It's the cheapest, so I'll just go with that. And then it went on like I don't know, I think like a 10x or something like that, and I was just, I was an addict since
You're
then.
hooked.
And it's interesting too, Michael, you mentioned that you started in 2017, which is when I started. Evan, I don't know. I think it was a similar time for you, right? Maybe.
Yeah, but I was like, Michael, I bought a little Bitcoin. I think I bought a little Ethereum too, and just forgot it.
But still, it's interesting that we're true. We've gone through two bear cycles. I mean, if we're in a bear market now, then this is our second go round with that. So, we're pretty soon going to be the old men with a cane telling war stories to the youngsters who joined the space.
Already there.
Yeah.
Already there.
Yeah, so. We had to pay gas both ways.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. 15 wallets I had. So, okay, that's your journey into crypto. But then we all got deeper. And Mack, I really want to zoom in on the story of Faceless Labs, formerly Faceless Crypto. Can you tell us the seed of that idea, how Faceless Crypto got started?
Sure. I'm questioning whether or not we want to tell the the lightning bolt moment. I don't know how risky we want to get with this podcast, but
go for it, man. We can always cut it in post.
Okay. Okay.
Let me just tell you, this is our explicit content advisory warning. We we're gonna say what we feel, and if we'll try and keep it polite, we'll try and be sweet to you. We don't want to turn you away, but we also we want you to feel like you're here in the room. Part of the fun of this podcast is looking behind the curtain. So I mean, go for it. Tell them about your lightning bolt. Your shower.
You guys already know what's coming on.
We already know what's coming.
So I call this there was a moment where I was just talking. It was me and my wife Amber. We were on the drive home, and I was thinking like, man, I need to do something that brings the community together and fight back. And I was like, how do I call that? And I call it I say it's a moment where it felt like a lightning bolt came down and hit me on the tip of my penis, and that's lived in infamy since. But the line I said is, I'm just one of the faceless many that's trying to fight against, the corruption of the big banks and the political systems that we live in. So the faceless many ended up being a kind of center, cornerstone for what I wanted to build in a community. And the mission statement is to empower the faceless many and lead the financial revolution. So, or to lead the financial revolution and empower the faceless many. So that kind of started Faceless Crypto, where, it's not about my ego or my cult of personality, because at that time I had a big following. And so I didn't want it to be about like just me. I wanted it to be about us. That was the biggest reason I liked the branding of Faceless. And then after this crypto community had been started, it just made sense to, when the NFT project came along, to go with the Faceless Men, and it ended up being a real hit.
So we had this community of people. We all were talking, hanging out. We were making friends. We were learning together. We were sharing what we knew, asking our questions, and then the Faceless Many. And I'd like to talk about the story of the Faceless Many, because there's a lot to unpack here. Why we chose Elrond Network, what distinguishes this from other NFT projects, long-term vision, there's regulatory compliant utility, a great story, yada, yada, yada. But I think we should start with, why was the next step for Faceless Crypto and NFT?
So that's one of my favorite questions, because, I had this community going for a while, right? And I would see guys like Michael, like you, Evan, like Alex and Joe and Mihir, constantly in the feed. And I was like, you know what? How can we just take this to the next level? So I just did an open invite, basically. And I said, if you're interested in kind of helping grow this to the next level, please let me know. And incidentally enough, all of the architects that are the people who responded to that call. They all said, yeah, I'd like to help. So we just started meeting weekly, and just sort of started talking about things. I had wanted to do an NFT for a while just for my own personal reasons. And I asked again in Discord, I said, is anyone out there, an artist or have any experience? And Carlos said, yeah, now known as the artist. He said, yeah, I have some experience. And he put up this, this smattering of like Pixar quality artwork that could be worth, millions of dollars in branding and IP. So I was like, yeah, I think we might have something here. So after a few weeks of meeting, I said, this is beyond me. I have to bring the guys in. And I said, why don't we just make this into like a proper project? And so we got some iterations from the Faceless Many, which were faceless characters rending the earth in half with medieval, weapons and splitting it in between crypto and fiat currency. And so from then, everyone's skills really started to shine. The Scrivener, who's the man hosting this whole thing, with his silver tongue, ended up being an incredible storyteller, an amazing raconteur, both in words and in writing. And Michael ended up being an amazing video producer and creator. So it kind of came together as this amalgamation of amazing talents from several different areas, and it made for great storytelling. And then once we added the utility and the kind of nerd aspect in there, it came together.
So I do want to zoom in a little on the process of launching an NFT. I think a lot of people in our space don't understand how, first of all, NFTs are not just art. They are artifacts. They are, it's like a business. It's a product that you can use for many different purposes. And one of the purposes that I see people starting to use NFTs for, but I feel like in terms of what we did, taking the ecosystem to the next level, there was this goal not only to tell a story that unified people, there was also a goal to cast a vision for the future of a business and to raise funds for that, not by turning to VCs, not by selling big stakes of ownership, but by giving all these retail investors their part of the story. Michael, I'd like to know, from your perspective, as a guy who's built different companies or advised people building different companies, what do you think about that, about an NFT launch for like launching a business or building a business? When you're watching this process come together, I mean, was it scary? Was it genius? Was it crazy? What were some of the things that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, when we first started talking through it, I was probably the one that was the least optimistic of any of it, right? Because I work in Web 2 all the time, helping startups raise capital or companies like find new customers. And so, Mack, if you remember, like the calculations I was sending over to Mihir and you about like, hey, here are the number of people we need to get into the Discord for this to be a sellout. I think it was something like 30,000, right? I was like, we need to get our socials and our Discord up to like 30,000 people. Otherwise, this is just never going to happen. And oh dear Lord, did I not understand the rabidness of like crypto and the Elrond network and everything that happens there. So it's been a really interesting dive thus far, because I think there are things that from a marketing and sales perspective, Web 3 can learn from Web 2, right? There are things that we can take in place on top of Web 2 and say, hey, these things still work. You should probably still try to do them. They will work out well. And then there are also some things that work in Web 3 that I'm like, man, that would never work in a traditional Web 2 space right now. And so honestly, that's what makes it a really exciting space to work in, because, I say this all the time. To me, it feels like the .com era in the 90s before the bust, where it's like you can kind of try anything and it might work. It might work, so give it a try.
Yeah. And a lot of planning really went into this. I remember we met officially for the first time as a group of architects at the very end of July or the beginning of August to plan for a launch. Like Mack was like, okay, let's figure out how we can launch this thing like later in the fall. And I got to hand it to the Oracle for his ambitious vision. But I remember like thinking then like, that seems like a lot. And now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, we did a ton of research into other NFT projects, the socials they did, the campaigns they did. And we saw that honestly, it was a lot of, like you said, Michael, if you send an email in Web 2, you're lucky if, 10 out of 100 people open it. That's insane conversion rates. But here were these mom and pops starting projects that, because it had the word NFT in it, they were getting tens of thousands, some cases hundreds of thousands of people trying to buy these things. And here we are, a team of, at that time it was 6 people, and quickly grew to about 10 people, trying to really architect a strong plan for what's the roadmap to success for this. One of the first decisions we made was, which blockchain are we going to launch on? And we arrived at the decision of Elrond. Mack, do you want to talk a little about what that was like? Why people always want to know, why did we choose Elrond?
Yeah, especially when we go to the conferences, they're like, "Oh, Elrond does NFTs." So yeah, Elrond was not an easy decision. I had been a investor in Elrond at that point for well over a year. I bought into Elrond first when it was at like $14 because I read the white paper and I was like, "Yo, I'm buying." Which is the first time that's ever happened too. Sometimes it's because of who's backing it or what kind of marketing potential they have. But I saw a community that was very focused on the simple aspect of the end user. So, Mihir is an app. No other crypto has an app with a super clean interface. And they were very focused on their community, and their community was just ravenous. They were very pro Elrond. So obviously we had to consider all the blockchains. We got Ethereum. At that point, the gas fees were egregious. They were $100 to $200 per mint, and we were trying to charge around that, maybe a little bit more for the NFT. So it's like, why would they waste all that money when they could buy another NFT of ours? And that's that was a key thing. If we didn't do that, we had Solana, which, with the devs that we had on board, that we still do, that was kind of a nightmarish coding environment for them. Since then, they've released some sites that make it a lot easier for people to do, and they've really come up. But if we didn't do that, then we had Cardano, that was kind of dodgy. We had Polygon, which would have been easy because our devs could use Solidity, but there's no real passion in the,
Yeah, there wasn't at that time a lot of activity happening there.
Right, exactly. So then we're left with like, all right, well, do we take this big leap of faith and say Elrond, because there's like 5 NFT projects on there, we could potentially be a big fish in a small pond, like a whale, essentially. But our market is way smaller. 99% of the market is on OpenSea and Ethereum. So we got to go and just hit this niche hard and just hope that we get enough diehard fans to help us, sell out. And
I remember you said really quick that we're either going to look like geniuses or total fools.
Yeah. So luckily it worked out. Like I had correctly surmised the strength of the Elrond community, and they've just been great. What the next step is now, of course, is bringing more people into that ecosystem to show that, hey, Elrond has a great environment for NFTs. It's fast, it's cheap, and it works.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about Elrond that I often tell people is that, did you know most transactions on the Elrond network consume less than half the energy of a Google search? It is one of the truly green blockchains in that, it's not just buying carbon credits to offset its impact. It really is that fast, that efficient, that simple. They have great user interface, great technology. And to your point too, not only do we, on this podcast, you're going to hear us talk with and about a lot of the other great projects on Elrond. I know we'd love to talk about all the other NFTs. We'd love to host some of the Elrond network team. If you're out there and you're listening, we're available and we'll make you look good. But we also have an eye, we've never been maxis. We're always thinking about crypto interoperability, composability is built in. Interoperability is the future. So I think that one of the things that in that whole discussion that I loved about our team was that everybody was really talking about like, okay, we can build here, but as we look to the future, what kind of products, what kind of moves are we going to make that bring in the many who've yet to join us, that bridge us to other blockchains, that take us outside of, just NFT or just crypto to the real world to bring people cool experiences. And we'll get into that in a second, but let's talk a little more about the launch, because I think a lot of people who are in our community now or who are maybe hearing this story for the first time, they missed out on what was really a frenzy of activity. We did just a lot of stuff. I mean, do you remember we had first there was the push to launch the Discord. We brought the trusted members of Faceless Crypto in. We worked on the story. We launched a private Discord. We had factions. We had puzzles. We had Thanksgiving. We had the launch. We had the restart. We had campaigns, giving away e-gold, giving away vault pieces, and it was frenetic. But one of the things that really stands out to me, I felt like, was the size and the competence of our team, our colleagues, and the trust that we built with our community. I would love to know generally, like, what were some of your thoughts during that time? What were some of the moments maybe that stood out to you, if you can pick anything out from the blur? Moments of opportunity, moments of triumph, or maybe even moments of struggle that you guys had that you thought, like, is this going to work out? What do you guys remember from that time?
Yeah, I think one thing that it seemed normal when we were doing it, and then I've obviously realized later that it was not normal, was having our entire team doxxed, right? Like just coming out and saying, this is who we are, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. I understand the concept of decentralization, and anonymity inside of that, and privacy and that kind of thing, and how it's a core tenet of Web3. But I feel like we just sort of assumed that, well, we're going to do this anyway, because like half of our team are live on TikTok all the time anyway. So we're not going to hide it. But I feel like I feel like lots of teams are missing out on that. And aren't realizing the benefits both to the project and their community, and just the conversation they can become part of by just saying who you are.
Can you drill down on that a little bit? Like, what are some of the benefits?
Yeah, I mean, security in the fact that things aren't like that. You aren't going to rug the moment things get paid out. I mean, you could still do that as a doxed individual. It's just a lot easier for people to be like, well, I'm not going to work with that person again. You know?
Especially when we all have like public, or not all of us, but several of us have very public platforms. You know what I mean? It would spell ruin if we were to rug or do anything nefarious.
Or are like leading in other ways that require. I mean, Joe is a principal, and Tanner, he's a co-founder of another tech company. There are all these, Trevor's got his own businesses and things. There are all these reputational risks that we would really take by doing something like that.
Yeah, and I think like any relationship, there's a risk and reward trade, and if you can do that risk and reward trade with the audience that you're asking to participate with you in this financial trade-off, that you get a lot more benefit. That's what I'd assume that, because we do that in regular business all the time. And then when I saw what the community was shaping up to be, and how we were talking to them, and how they were talking to us as we were moving through stuff with inviting people to Discord, that's where I went, oh, this is something that's pretty different with how NFT communities have been formed in the past. More people should probably do something like this.
Yeah, there was a lot of, in our research, there's so much what we would call shilling, a lot of retweet this, tag 3 friends. There was a lot of paid promotional work happening. And I want to highlight for people who are listening that, not that there's anything wrong with doing a paid promotion, but there's a lot of seedy stuff that happens. People don't disclose that they're doing an advertisement.
Or they buy followers.
They buy followers, or they're just trying to sell you something. And we didn't take a single offer for a paid promo on the whole path to launch, and we still haven't. We have not paid anybody to advertise for us. And it might be cool to talk about some of the, we kind of joke about being the anti-project. Mack, do you want to tell them a little about like what was that like? If you found the Faceless Many back in whatever, September, October, what was the journey like for people that we took them through to get them on the inside?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because kind of going back to your last question too, you were talking about the frenetic pace and a lot of things, So we started out with making the Discord closed off. It was private. The only way you could get in is by watching the promo video that Michael made with Evan's script, and then basically at the end of it there was a number, and I think the number was also on our website, but you had to call the number. And it said error code 8064. And then you had to type in 8064 as the password to get into the Discord. So those first 1,000 people that got in were called Prometheans, the god to steal fire from the gods and give it to mankind. And there's still a position of honor in our Discord, but it's stuff like that. So we're like, okay, these people like quests, they like puzzles. So then we all went on this like quest to just come up with these gnarly, we all went on a quest to create the quests for the people. And I remember we still laugh about this all the time, but it took a lot of man hours to think of this stuff. Yeah. And then they solved it. They all like worked together and then solved it within like a matter of hours. And we're like, guys, come on. we promoted it in a way that the factions were kind of like different teams, like houses of Hogwarts, but ultimately they would have to collaborate in order to win the final prize. And they just instantly started doing it.
So
and we're like, well, shit, guys. So
yeah, I remember the plan was for it to last like at least a week.
Yeah.
of work, of people doing stuff. And we just went, okay.
Yeah. So anyways, after that, we set out doing a bunch of quests, and they ended up being really hard. And so we had to kind of, use the community feedback to iterate and reiterate and find out where that sweet spot is of getting engagement, but not kind of making it so esoteric that it turns people off. And then that led into the mint. And anyone who was there for the OG mint, we chose to do it right around Christmas, which ended up being a blessing and a curse. I would say the curse, I'll say the blessing first, because the first mint had several problems with it. There were people getting NFTs without paying for it. There were failed transactions. And there was just some, it was just hectic, and our devs, because we're operating in Elrond, we're not used to that. Two of them didn't even come from Web3 experience. So granted, very skilled, you know what I mean? They had 10 years experience in their own field, and they're very accomplished developers, but this is still something new. So when these problems came up, and from our standpoint, it's like you need a mechanic to know how to fix a car, but you need a mechanic to know if a mechanic is good or not.
Well, and let me tell you real quick, just to interrupt you, to give people context, one of the challenges we had was the Elrond smart contract. The way that we were going to mint, we realized that there was no way to ensure a truly fair mint on the blockchain. It hadn't been built yet. The Ethereum blockchain, for comparison, is like a superhighway. Devs have built on it because of composability. There's a solution for just about everything and documentation for it. Elrond is more like a Western frontier. There's a wagon road leading in, and if you want to build a path to your house, you got to do it yourself. So we devised this sort of proprietary solution when we realized that the mint would be susceptible to what we in the biz call sniping. Somebody could scrape the data of our collection on the blockchain to see, oh, hey, only 100 of them look like this. They're rare. I'm going to target that one. And so we tried to devise we built something. We engineered it. We pioneered something new. And when you build new shit, sometimes it breaks. So just to give people context, it wasn't like, our people were just running around saying, well, try stuff, hope it works. It was really like we were trying to do something new that we thought would add value to the ecosystem in a way nobody had yet.
Yeah.
But please continue.
No, that's a great point to make.
It caused some problems for us.
Yeah. And it wasn't in Solidity either. That's the thing, is Elrond was not EVM compatible. So you can't use Ethereum-based languages to code in Elrond. So we're using C#, and like you said, a proprietary database that helped us. So it was paving the way. It's a lot easier now. See, when we say it's now or it was different back in my day, that just adds generations. But anyway, so the blessing and the curse ended up being that because it was right around Christmas, we said, okay, we have to pause this and fix these issues. So we ran an 8 days of Christmas campaign where we were giving out vault characters that were unique one-of-ones, things that looked like Santa or the Arachnid Man, and giveaways to kind of get people, excited about it again, because we realized we screwed up and we were going to try and fix this. The curse also ended up being that, our developer who really came through in the clutch, Trevor, was doing this right around Christmas, so it ended up just being a last minute thing. And I was sitting next to him for about 6 hours while he was just frantically typing. And I'm sitting there next to him like, okay, what do you think? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, maybe like an hour, And then all of a sudden, just in a moment, in a flash, he goes, "Okay." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Okay." I was like, "What do you mean, okay?" He's like, "We're ready." I was like, "Dude, I've been asking for, some kind of warning, an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever." But anyways, we launched the second phase and it sold out. And so that was a page for all of our history books.
Yeah. I want to step back too real quick. We've gotten a little in the weeds on some of these things, but I want to go back to what you said about the experience people had in the Discord that took them offline. A lot of NFT projects, again, they build a community, they put some hype out. And one of our goals from the beginning, when we were talking about NFTs, and I think one of the reasons that we wanted to do an NFT was because all of us had a different understanding for what NFTs as a technology for community building, for marketing, for fundraising, for value adding to any group could be. And I really think something I want to emphasize for people is a lot of NFT projects, their solution to building community or telling a story is to write a narrative. And usually it's kind of a loose narrative around the art. It emphasizes that the NFT is like just a piece of art. But this experience that we got to craft together, really, it built a container around this narrative of good and evil, dark and light, heroes that represented the good in all of us rising up. And it wasn't just a story that you read or that you watched. It was a story that you got to participate in and that you got to add to by completing these puzzles, by joining a faction. It was a system, like Mack said, of sort of Hogwarts-esque design to declare your allegiance to a particular subsect of the community that you would come to define for yourself, so that people could build closer relationships to each other with our story and also with our team. Each of us had an identity as an architect, the oracle, the maestro, the scrivener, the heliomancer, the guide, these figures that shape the story. And because we were doxxed, it wasn't just like we only had this identity, but it enhanced our real life identity. And I think drew people deeper into the story in a way that made it more fun to participate in the project. And also, I just remember, like, when we had issues, when we had trouble, there was this real sense of, I remember whenever we would talk to the community, we would come out and we would say, "Hey, here's the issue we're experiencing. Here's what we're doing to fix it. It's not a cause for concern. If you have questions, we're here." And then we would say, "Rise up." We would have this kind of communal rallying cry that everyone was like, "Yeah, rise up. We love this. Rise up. It's okay. We're going to work on it." Even when things were hectic, when they were frenetic, when they were solving all the puzzles we built, when there were challenges to work through, the story that we built, which was more than just a once upon a time, the middle, the end, that is continuing, gave people something to really form an identity around that I think kind of made a triumph for our community in moments of challenge.
Well said. And to that point too, I think another big claim to fame that we have is that, if you're talking about what gets people to buy in, right? During our launch, in that initial launch, the good, the bad, and the ugly was happening, right? We had a 37-hour consecutive voice chat going. And I want to give big shout out to you, Evan, because the Scrivener was in there for probably 30 of those hours. But people go in there and they say, "Okay, how do I do this? Is it working? My NFT's been in the queue for a while. I'm having a certain problem with this." So for 37 hours, literally, there was one of us in there always just talking to people. They were asking questions. They were giving us compliments. They were talking about concerns. And I think that deserves more props, because I haven't seen anyone else do that.
It honestly, let me. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say I'm already just prepared for us to write the novel or the PR case study just called the 37-hour AMA that they will teach in college public resource or PR classes for like years on end.
Yeah.
This is how we get the Scrivener's name to go down in all of the of history.
Well, but and it really wasn't just me, and it wasn't. I would say honestly, I think if anybody deserves a shout out, it's our good friend Alex, who's not here, who's here backstage watching. I don't know anybody who was more who set a more selfless precedent in terms of being omnipresent in the chat. Every time somebody had an issue, this poor man's DMs are full of people who
continuously
God
still
bless
haven't
them.
recovered.
Right. But the dedication was really admirable, and everybody chipped in, and not just our team, but the people who were in the community who'd been there since the start. They sort of took up the mantle of sharing good, helpful information. And that's another thing I think we should emphasize. If you're listening to this and you're like, hey, starting an NFT project seems like a great way to make $1 million with very little effort, I'm here to tell you, when all of a sudden you launch a business that gets 10,000 customers, you got to provide support for those people, or you risk some serious reputational damage. So I think that while we planned and prepared probably as well as just about anybody could, it was a big challenge. It was a big challenge, a big learning opportunity.
Yep.
Okay, so we talked about the issues, the challenges. We talked about the launch. We talked a lot about the Faceless Many, and I want to get into the utility of the project kind of as we move ahead after the collection sold out. We built partnerships with Spatial. We rolled out a metaverse. Other Elrond NFT projects and community members, I remember like Mihir Kothapally kind of rose up out of our community. We attended conferences. We helped launch projects. We gave away those 1-for-1 Vault NFTs. We've given away eGold. We've been doing free education on our personal platforms through the Faceless Crypto Classroom. All of this stuff all along the way. And I joke with other people that we do a lot of those things that other projects promise you, right? Everyone's like, oh, we're going to have a metaverse. Oh, we're going to do education. But we also did some totally proprietary things that I don't think any other project had done, like trying to build a solution on Elrond to implement a fair mint. That was one thing. But then there's also a novel and compliant approach to what people listening might call staking. Of course, I'm talking about rev points, revolution points. Can you share, Mack, more about the inception of rev points and why it's such a big deal?
Sure. Yeah. So I think rev points is something that will be continuously appreciated as time goes on, because it's the idea that it kind of kills like 8 birds with one stone. You talk about compliance. You can't tell people, hey, if you buy this NFT, you're going to get X reward. That's a securities violation in the United States, which is a massive market. If you're playing in Europe, or Asia, the rules might be different, but if you want American customers, you got to play by the SEC rules, or they're going to rug pull you within the next 1 to 2 years, and it's going to be like the Salem witch trials all over again. So we wanted to do that, but we wanted to have a way where people could have a kind of currency, so to speak, in our system that could be applicable to more than just getting rewards in a currency. You can get rewards in the way that you get tickets at a carnival or at like a Dave & Buster's or arcade. And at the end of the day, you can take all these tickets that you've earned from playing these games, in our case, holding the NFTs in your wallet, and then you can go cash it out for prizes. So we came up with a proprietary way to stake, really is what it is. But you don't have to lock up your staking, lock up your NFTs anywhere. You just hold it in your wallet. I never liked locking it up anywhere, and we wanted to pass that on to you guys. So because of the way Elrond NFT markets are designed, if you want to sell it, you have to transfer it from your wallet to the secondary market, which means that it's taking it out, it's listing it for sale. So all you have to do is keep it in your wallet. You're earning 100 rev points per day per NFT. The more you accumulate of those, then that opens you up for a number of prizes that we've given out already and that we're going to continue to stock in the rev points marketplace. So these are things like merchandise. These are things like free NFTs, pre-sale or whitelist spots, e-gold vouchers, straight up just earning e-gold. VR headsets, Oculus Quest, that and the Travala gift cards were $300 each. I don't know many other NFT projects that allow you to get, tickets to go see your grandma back in Scotland or a VR headset. So that's kind of the central utility of the Faceless Many marketplace, including the allies too, the Faceless allies. There's champions and heroes that both earn rev points as well. So there's ways to kind of stack that.
So let's dig into that just real quick to say that we launched rev points, the utility of rev points, in kind of a multi-pronged campaign with the announcement of our second collection, these ally NFTs. They were the first product that we put into the marketplace along with Travala gift cards and VR headsets that you could use your rev points to purchase. So for the cost of your initial investment, we price these such that any holder of a Faceless Many NFT could redeem their NFT for another NFT that they could turn around and sell for e-gold. And some of them, I think it was the No-Gone Champions, maybe. There was one that sold for like 8 or 9 e-gold. A couple of them did, I think. So for the cost of your initial investment, you could have turned around and made almost a 10x profit. And again, in a regulatory compliant way. Something Alex often says that I'm going to ask him to talk about on a future episode is he always talks about this problem with the NFT narrative now, the hypesters and NFT 1.0, that the only way to receive value from your NFT is to sell it to somebody who's willing to buy it for more. You have to essentially leave the ecosystem or dupe a greater fool to paying a higher price to return a profit to get any value from it. And that's just not how the financial revolution is going to happen.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. And he and I had kind of talked about that, and it really solidified when the Bored Apes did the ape coin drop, because they're one of the few that broke the mold. You know what I mean? Until they did that coin drop, which you got for receiving, or which you received for holding the Bored Ape NFTs, the only way you could actually profit or realize any gains is by selling it. So it made us feel good that we've been, implementing a system like that from the very beginning.
Man, I'm glad you said that. We have a lot of colleagues in this space who do great work. I remember another one I really liked. I loved when Moonbirds introduced their nesting system, although I will admit I was a little envious that I felt like they more or less did a rev point system and everyone was like, Moonbirds. And I was like, hey man, the Faceless Many's been here for you. But I think it's not, the Faceless Many or Moonbirds, the Faceless Many or Bored Apes. It really is about the Faceless Many and Bored Apes. It's about the Faceless Many and other Elrond NFTs, the Faceless Many and Spatial. We're all working together to build the future.
The more we see projects do good things and succeed in those types of models, the more it paves the road for that structure to be sound and people to trust in it, and it not to feel like 90% of things are going to be a rug pull. So if anything, it's great to have more of those, because it means that what we're doing is working and we should continue in that direction.
So we've talked about the introduction of the Rev Points marketplace with our second collection, the Faceless Allies, but that's not our only other collection. We actually have a third collection we just released, which tells the story of the villains, the nemesis of the Faceless Many. Of course, I'm talking about the Corrupted.
Dun, dun, dun.
You guys want to talk about this? Michael, maybe a little bit about the uniqueness of the art, or what is so cool about this collection? Why Corrupted?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's the most impressive, I think, about the Corrupted that I love is that it is all AI generated artwork from a basis of the Faceless Many. I got to give Mack a pat on the back for this. He tends to be quite a purveyor of just all of these amazing artists that are happening on blockchain, off the blockchain. I don't even know where you find folks all the time, but you always seem to like be able to sniff out just these outliers. And you put us in contact with Xerxes, who does this amazing AI rapid fire artwork. And that collaboration has just made some fantastic stuff that I mean, I haven't seen anything like it before. I abashedly am a holder of a lot of Corrupted myself now, and I think it speaks to different things that we can be doing in the future with artificial intelligence, not just in artwork, but in a lot of different things. And I think it's just another way to move that conversation forward with Web3 and the technology that we're using.
Yeah, Xerxes says that it was trained on the initial images of the collection, the AI, and also any imagery on the internet that had the label evil, which I think is just so cool. And, you know, our original collection was kind of unique artistically, not just because Carlos is such a master craftsman, but, you know, we had these different poses, these different character types, which is pretty novel at the time. And now I think this was the really, you know, the first AI generated collection based on another, you know, a mutation, if you will. But beyond the art, beyond the story, Mack, why I've heard some people say, like, you know, about NFT project teams, why are you selling so many NFTs? Why do I need this new NFT if I've already got a Faceless Many? What kind of value does the corrupted add? What novelty does it add from your perspective?
Well, first of all, the Faceless Many is so story driven, you know, and when we conceptualized the allies, we knew that this was an eventuality. We've been planning the corrupted basically starting at the same time as the allies. Yeah, from the beginning. So we didn't know it was going to be called the corrupted. We didn't know what they were going to look like. But if you have the heroes and you have the sidekicks, the allies, you know, then what are they fighting against? So the corrupted fit really well with the story in the sense that it's AI. It's kind of reverting back to the way it was before the Faceless Many rose up and there was order and there was a tiered, you know, structure. So it's that sense, but it's also a chance for us to introduce different utility, which is totally different. Whereas the Faceless Many is incentivizing long-term holdership and kind of, you know, entry into an ecosystem that'll pay dividends down the road. The corrupted is more based on short-term quixotic trading volume and, you know, benefiting the few. That's what the syndicate games is. So it allows us to kind of have two different flavors. You know, imagine yourself playing an RPG. Do you want to play the hero or do you want to play the villain? Both sides are going to have, you know, their pros and cons. And it also allows us to introduce this idea of kind of an ongoing struggle, a war, where sometimes the Faceless Many may win, sometimes the corrupted may win. Maybe one side, you know, pilfers the coffers of one other and that team gets benefits and vice versa. So it allows us to kind of close up the ecosystem and build everything as it goes forward.
And I would add too, for something to think about for people listening, this is a long-term vision and an NFT is like a website. If one day you want to add e-commerce to your website or an email widget or a Twitter feed, you can do that. And similarly, we've got your wallet address and we can add all kinds of utility in this struggle that fits into the scope of this story and adds kind of a novel, deepened experience that our holders are going to co-create with us. The community is going to shape the story that evolves and therefore the value that is generated that will just, we hope, you know, keep finding new fun ways to rear its head.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have some final thoughts on the collections, Mack?
No, just that you know, with the storytelling, the corrupted syndicate games are just about to launch, so that's really going to be exciting. And then when the corrupted, you know, they originally underestimated the strength of the Faceless Many. When they quote unquote rise up again and subvert the efforts of the Faceless Many, the mint will resume. And that'll be the end of the, you know, the open sale for corrupted, and then it'll be all on the secondary market. So we're just really excited for everything that's coming forward, ecosystem specific, you know, just
that's right.
Rev Points Marketplace, corrupted, everything in between.
This is just Act 1. We're really in Act 1 of the story of Faceless Labs, which is going to continue as we keep building out the metaverse, as we work on in real life experiences, as we build partnerships with other projects, other leaders in the space. But we'll get to all of that next time. I want to end this episode with just a couple of fun little questions that I think might help people get to know you better and maybe could provoke some controversy. I'm not sure what to call this, except our colleague Alex, he does rapid fire crypto news. So I would call this maybe rapid fire crypto questions. Are you ready, gentlemen?
Bum, bum, bum.
Send it. I would like for you to do it in Alex's delivery too. This is rapid fire crypto news.
That was a really good Alex.
We have a competition. You do a pretty good one though, Evan.
Rapid fire crypto news for what's today? For June 1st.
June 1st.
Coinbase is announcing that I am awesome. Alex is backstage giving us the bird. For people who can't see the video. Our dear friend Alex, we love him. He's here for moral support, but he had a rough weekend. He's so involved in giving back locally. You know, he has a heart for dogs. Like some of us go shopping for shit coins and altcoins. This man goes to a dog shelter and comes back with a new pooch pal, and you know, I'm sure they're very rare, 1-for-1 super good puppers.
He does.
But he couldn't be here with us today because he's resting his voice. We're going to have him on soon. We're going to have all the team on, some community members on soon. But for now, it's just you guys in the hot seat. I want to know.
We couldn't find a pop filter that would cover his mustache. That was really the issue here.
Wouldn't that be like a built-in pop filter, though? I mean, if he grows it long enough, you know.
I think one day we should all show up for like Halloween dressed as each other, but secretly we all just dress up as Alex.
I'm so down for that. I did that with my roommates in college. It's so funny. Yeah.
It's like that scene from Spartacus where everyone's like, I am Spartacus, but we're all like, I am Alex. Okay. Would you rather, we're going to play a little crypto themed Would You Rather.
Dig it.
I want to know, would you rather, Mack Lorden, have a Bored Ape NFT or an entire Bitcoin?
I mean, a Bored Ape for sure.
Really?
Well, I have one and I don't have the other. So that's a bit of an easy question.
Okay. Michael, what about you?
I'm going to have to go with Mack on that too.
You take a Bored Ape too?
I would. Just because of my feelings of the usage and utilities and other things around either of them.
To be honest, I would actually just sell it. I would get it and just sell it straight for cash. And I would just hold for the next 6 months to a year and put that into some real estate, maybe in Puerto Rico.
Really, truly. I see. Yes. And I feel like I would take a Bitcoin and I would hold it and just forget about it. And then in 2030, you could call me. And maybe it'll be worth $1 million. I don't know. You know, it's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Mack's thinking the other way, right? Like you forget about that Bitcoin in 2030, they call you and you're a millionaire. And meanwhile, Mack's like a multimillionaire from the real estate things that
liquid revenue
just invested into. Yeah.
Okay.
That's one thing I'm missing is that you know, recurring monthly revenue that you get from rent. And I've been focused on crypto, which is great for massive gains, but you know, the slow you know, tortoise approach is good as well.
Yep.
Okay. I got another question. Would you rather be Satoshi Nakamoto or Elon Musk?
That is a good question.
Mine's easy.
I think I'd rather be Elon Musk because I speculate that Satoshi Nakamoto, if it is just one person, might be dead.
Yeah, I'd go Elon Musk, and not for anything involving Twitter or whatever. I'm a space buff, and I would, if I was in the midst of building that stuff, I would be hardcore, just in there all the time.
I would say Elon Musk as well, because if I were Satoshi Nakamoto, I would just be looking around like, these motherfuckers, they don't know who I am. They don't know what I created, you know? It's like, it's got to be tough. I mean, he created a new financial system, and thank God he or she or they remained anonymous, because I don't think it would have had near the impact that it does today if they weren't anonymous. But I think that I could affect more change as Elon Musk, as somebody who's not anonymous.
That's fair. That's fair.
Now that it's already done. I have a question for you, Evan.
You do? Okay.
At what point in the future will we see the Evan man, the Scrivener, with short hair?
Oh, with short hair? Listen, I have said that after I'm done, I've always wanted long hair. And now I've got long hair, and I've always said that when I'm done with long hair, I'd really like to shave my head and try the other direction, just see what a bald head feels like in the shower. But do you know who would probably rather see me be dead as Satoshi Nakamoto, might be even see that happen, is Kim? My lovely partner, Kim. Yeah. She has said, okay, well, the day you do that is the day I'll go meet my other boyfriend.
Oh my God. That's funny.
So I don't know. I think I'm probably, at least for now, I'm keeping the long hair. but I don't know. I might show up one day with a skullet.
I mean, it looks
a full-on Hulk Hogan, like balled up front, party in back. I don't know, man.
It looks great. I love it. I mean, it's part of your character, but when you have long hair, when you meet people, because I used to have long hair too, it went
down. You had some luscious locks. We got to put a picture of that in the show notes. We're going to put a picture of Mack. It was like Pantene commercial hair, dude.
Wow.
It was pretty good. It was 22 months, no haircut. But yeah, when you meet people with long hair and then you cut it off, it kind of, it messes with their perception of your.
Well, and for a long time I had like Elvis haircut. Like when I was in high school, people used to tease me because they thought I favored the actor who played Edward Cullen, like, very broody vampire vibes. Mm-hmm. And I never, get that anymore. I mostly just get like, White Jesus or like Tarzan, which is, I don't know, probably just as cool as everybody's favorite vampire.
Definitely.
But, but is there anything you can think of that people can do to support you, gentlemen, or us as a team right now, or any just like parting thoughts, words of wisdom, good jokes for crypto Web3 NFTs?
I mean, my parting thoughts, I would say, is that now is the time to get in again, right? Like if you looked at this space in, 2021 or the beginning of 2022, and we're seeing it just like climb. I've talked to lots of people in the last month who have just like freaked out because, they dropped money in at all-time highs and are going, oh dear God, what did I do? The thing that you do now is build and get involved and be around people that are doing things, and maybe learn how to do some TA so that next time you don't buy at all-time highs and figure out what that's all about. But I honestly think that this is a great season for everything just to like fizzle out a little bit, and for good projects and people who are building real things with real utility to rise to the top, and for an appropriate evolution in crypto and Web3 to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say that I think that, this is a very exciting time for us and everyone in the NFT space, especially the Elrond NFT space. We are not going anywhere. We're building, we're expanding out. This is just one of the expansions of what we're doing. Like Evan mentioned, there's an event, there's the Faceless Many ecosystem, there's consulting, there's education. So we are always looking for talent. If anyone is interested in joining us in being a part of our team, we have a lot of fun and we're high functioning. So get in the Discord, get involved, talk to us, DM us on Twitter. You can follow us on all those places. We'll be here for the long term.
I like that you said high functioning, because that makes it sound like we have like some sort of underlying deficit.
Maybe a little bit.
We might be messed up, but we're high functioning.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll ask you, the last quick thing, is I don't know. Do you want to speculate who would you like to see as a guest on the show? I would really love someday to be the show that maybe doesn't dox, but has an interview with like Marat Pack at Marat Pack, the NFT artist. That would be really fun for me. Or I would love to have an interview with I don't know, Satoshi, but we got so many good friends, good projects. Is there anybody that would be like aside from everybody on our team and our community, Benjamin Minku might be cool for, Elrond megastars. Snoop
is a big Elrond or a big NFT guy.
And soon to be a big Elrond guy, maybe.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, he's just one NFT or blunt away from buying an Elrond NFT, and why not the Faceless Many? We could make him a Vault NFT for Shoup, just specifically. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there that the tides are changing. We're going to strive to get as many high quality guests on here so that we can tease out, what made them successful, what their experiences are, and how we can build and grow this and rise up together.
Thank you for joining us on the first ever episode of Rising Up by Faceless Labs. Catch us next time for more about Faceless Labs, NFTs, the Elrond network, and the most engaging content connecting you to the wider world of Web3. My name is Evan Mann. Thank you so much for joining us on the official podcast of the Financial Revolution. Rise Up. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Rising Up. Hey, before you go, I've got a quick favor. Would you please take a second to leave us a rating and a comment or quick review? Aside from listening, it's the most important thing you can do to help our show, and we really appreciate it. If you want more from our team, be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Faceless Many. That's where you'll find the link to our Discord server and all the latest updates. If you'd like to be on our show, if you have questions for our team, or if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, send us an email to hello, that's HALLO, at facelesscrypto.com, or get in touch through the contact form at our website. Thanks again for listening to the official podcast of the Financial Revolution. Until next time, rise up.